Julius Erving and teammate Chris Paul is the only players ever to score 30 points in their first two playoff games. Suns at home against the Lakers. Feeling good. Caesars William Hill likes the home team in two of the three Game 2 matchups. The Nets 9-point favorites to take a 2-0 lead in that series over the Celtics after dropping Game 1 in Phoenix. The Lakers are actually 2-point road favorites tonight against the Suns. And the Clippers are a 7-point favorite to beat the Mavericks even after losing Game 1 at home on Saturday. Eight-time All-Star Vince Carter joining us now with much more on the NBA playoffs. VC, when you look at this matchup specifically with the Nets and what they did in Game 1, what do you expect to see again from this squad against the Celtics?
Well, Kevin, we know what they're going to do on offense. I expect their defense to be one the same. I just come out and defend and make things tough for Jason Tatum. 6 for 20, 1 for 4 from 3 is what they like to see on the stat sheet, and that's because they were locked in defensively, boxes and elbows. All eyes were on what Jason Tatum was trying to do, whether it was posting up, pull-up threes, driving in the lane. Everybody was corralling, making things tough for Jason Tatum. So look to see that once again.
Who would have thought we're talking about Brooklyn's defense to start the playoffs? But if that continues, watch out the entire Eastern Conference. By the way, Tatum held scoreless from the floor, 0 for 6 in that second half in the loss. Anthony Davis also struggled in that Game 1 performance for the Lakers, taking on the Suns. He took responsibility for that performance here. How do you get Davis back in the flow offensively?
You get him back in the flow by feeding him early and often. Get the ball in his hands, and he doesn't have to necessarily score, but let him make plays. Let him dictate, because what they want to do, they being the Lakers, you want to see how the Suns are going to play him early in the game, and then you can get a feel of how you want to play and feature Anthony Davis from there. And I think once you get him going early, you figure out what the defense looks like. Now you need LeBron James to be LeBron James to open things up for Anthony Davis.
Well, you mentioned defense. The other LA team, they could not stop the offensive fireworks from Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. How about 31 points, a triple-double for the young star here? And Ty Lue has mentioned specifically moving forward, you're going to see more of that Kawhi matchup versus Luka here. When you look at game plans and shutting him down and containing Luka, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Luka Doncic is a superstar. You have to give superstars different looks. And I do expect Kawhi Leonard to guard him. He's a two-time defensive player of the year. He gets it done. So look for Luka to see multiple guys, not just Kawhi, but all of their defenders. I think you throw different looks at him, so he has to figure out what's coming next. If you keep him guessing, hopefully you're able to slow him down. You heard me, slow him down and not stop him.
Okay, we will see how this plays out. By the way, the Clippers, already their backs against the wall. They lost home court, losing Game 1. We'll see if Game 2 we can see the claw at least try to.
Good news for Suns fans. Chris Paul isn't on the injury report for tonight's Game 2 matchup against the Lakers. Paul suffered a right shoulder contusion in the second quarter of the Suns' 99-90 Game 1 win over L.A. when LeBron James leapt over him for a layup. He checked back in minutes later after exiting briefly. And after the game, he said he would, quote, absolutely be ready for tonight's matchup. Now, if the Lakers and Suns are neck and neck down the stretch, Phoenix will be thankful that they've got CP3, who's dominated clutch time over the past 2 seasons, including the playoffs. Paul is tied for second most points in that situation in the NBA. Clutch time is defined as the final 5 minutes and the score within 5 points. So let's now welcome in our NBA reporter, Dave McMenamin from Phoenix. So CP3 not on the Suns injury report. What more can you tell us about the shoulder injury that he's dealing with?
Ryan, Suns coach Monty Williams said Monday that the pain and soreness that Chris Paul was experiencing Sunday had substantially subsided come Monday. Now, Monty said during some of those huddles on Sunday, looking at Chris's face and seeing the pain and stress as he was working through what his body was feeling, sometimes Monty said he's going to go into Game 2 and trust the medical staff and trust Chris Paul when it comes to what he's saying about his body, and they were moving forward. You saw Chris having a bit of a loose handle in Game 1. Monty said that Chris was working on his dribbling progressions at practice on Monday.
Yeah, you got the feeling he would not be denied in terms of playing this game. Now, let's talk about the Lakers. They scored just over 90 points in game one, or just 90 points in game one, the third fewest in any game in which both LeBron and AD have played. So what potential lineup changes could be in store for LA tonight?
Ryan, Frank Vogel said we had to be willing to make adjustments, win or lose. So coming off the loss, you expect them to move around the chess pieces in some form or fashion. And the player you have to look to is Marc Gasol. He's received DNPs in 4 out of the last 5 games for the Lakers. And he's not a guy who's going to come in and get you 20 and 10 like he used to do for the Memphis Grizzlies. But he's a secondary playmaker beyond LeBron James and Dennis Schroeder. And he's a big body. He can call out defensive coverages. The last time the Lakers played the Suns in the regular season when they won by 13 points, Gasol only had 6 rebounds and 3 assists, but he was a plus 10 in 17 minutes on the court. Certainly was impacting winning that night, and they're going to look somewhere to get something else. Of course, the guys who played in game one got to play better too. Anthony Davis was 5 for 16. Kyle Kuzma scored 0 points for just the second time in his 298-game career. So those guys can step up as well.
Okay, so we'll see if Gasol gets some burn in this one. Game 2 coming up tonight. Dave McMenamin, thanks so much. All right, well, LeBron and Anthony Davis may be in for some huge games tonight as both average over 29 points per game following a loss in the same postseason. Both LeBron and Davis rank among the 5 highest scoring averages in that situation in NBA history, alongside some good company, as you see right there. Mike and Tony now.
To preview tonight's key storylines, the Mavericks are seeking a 2-0 series lead over the Clippers, who have lost 4 straight playoff games. Dallas hasn't held a 2-0 lead since sweeping the Lakers in 2011 on the way to the title. The Lakers hoping to avoid a 2-0 series deficit. Heading into Game 2, Devin Booker can join teammate Chris Paul and become the 4th player in playoff history with 30 points in each of their first 2 career appearances. Now, can the Nets pad their first-round lead over the Celtics? Boston has won 4 straight when trailing 2-0 in a series, including an 11-point win over the finals-bound Heat last year. Here's a comparison of Brooklyn's Big 3 to Miami's version a decade ago. The 2011 Heat team lost to Dallas in the NBA Finals, but won 2 rings over 4 total appearances. Stephen A., would this Nets team beat Miami's Big 3?
I believe they would.
Okay.
Because I think that Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving are showstoppers. I think they're absolutely spectacular, and I think there would be no answer to stop them. You obviously have a chance in a lot of people's eyes. You got to man up, and this is one of the things I took the liberty of calling Isaiah Thomas the other day, because I said, am I wrong in saying this? When the Pistons, when Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, John Sally, Rick Mahorn, and James Edwards, and Vinny the Microwave Johnson, and all of them played for Detroit, Chuck Daly, Daddy Bucks, as John Sally would call him, basically, God rest his soul, he would say that you have to man up. You guard your man. And so you can't double anybody on Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. You can't leave anybody open. So what you have to do is keep a body in front of them, make them make a contested 3, or make them school you one-on-one like they are fully capable of doing. That's what you have to do with the Nets. You can't double anybody. Okay?
Especially not with Joe Harris there, too.
And that includes Miami. And my thing is with Miami, this same awesome team did lose to Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, did win, but took 7 games to beat them the first go-round. With this Brooklyn team, San Antonio didn't have that kind of offense. No, I don't believe that Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving would lose to the Big 3 in Miami.
You may be right on paper, but it's way too early for me to agree with you, because this is not just Kevin Durant, some abstract version of Kevin Durant. This is Kevin Durant coming off a catastrophic injury in the very next season. Let's see what he can do. This is like Kyrie and James Harden look real good, but James Harden has not yet done it in the playoffs, really. And let's see if Kyrie can keep his head on his shoulders, right? So there are question marks, Stephen A. You got to get back to me. This Nets Big 3 has played what, including the postseason, 9 games together?
8 games
Well,
together.
8 in the regular season.